Merlin Unchained, adding a search engine. Hey everybody, my name is John Capobianco, and what I'm going to show you next is something I really wanted to try to do myself without, say, an elastic stack, the elastic ecosystem. What I'd like to do, and let's get our whiteboard out. Again, we have this model view controller idea. We already have the model, the view. We already have kind of a search engine by year month, day, operating system. It's in the filter looking against the database, right? The view into the model. Now, what do I need? Well, it's this triangle here. I need to make the view, the actual search, and I need, again, URLs. We're going to have two, learning from our button exercise. A resting page /search, and then a results page when they press enter to roll over to the results. We're going to need two URLs. Now, this wasn't that tricky, but there is some new stuff. So let's take a look here. Let's go into the code base, and what you'll see is I have a new folder called search, and it has its URLs and its views. I thought it best to keep it collected here. And now in our templates, you're also going to see a search template here. Now I've started with one function, and we'll talk about that in a second. I'd like to ultimately search the entire database, but to get started, I started with a search page, and this is new for me, is a form. So a form with the name of Q, and I'll probably rename that. And that is where the user types in their search. Then our results page, because I'm just searching the VLAN, I'm doing a loop in the object list that comes back and presenting all of the records that match their search. So now I need to add a view in our parent URL, a URL in our parent URLs. That is, I've put it down here. So no path, then go ahead and include the search URLs. So now in our search URLs, I'm importing a couple of views from views, and here are my search patterns, or URL patterns, the search, and then, /learn VLAN. I'm going to change this to be just results once I figure out how to search the whole database. But for now, it's the search learn VLAN view as a view with the name of search, learn VLAN search results. So now let's take a look at the view. So from views generic, I'm importing a template view and a list view. I don't need date time anymore. I was playing with something else. And I'm importing Q. And we'll look at Q in a second. We'll come back to where I found this inspiration for this code. But let's finish the code tour. And I'm bringing in learn VLAN from my models. So again, my resting page is just that template. Now this is the interesting view. So, my model and my template name, and then I'm defining a query set, and my query is self request get, and it's that Q, that form. And our object list is the object's filter. And now this is interesting. We've seen filter before, but what am I filtering on? Well, that Q, that search against all of our fields from our model. If I show you the model, right? Each of these fields, we'd like to search them all. Now, I'm not searching timestamp because it's not a text field. It's a date time field. So I've omitted that. But we can search for everything else here and then return the object list because that's the filter. Pretty cool, right? So now I want to give credit to the person I found this from. Let me quickly find the article here. And this is Django Search form, I believe is what I searched. Yes. And under Learn Django, there's a search tutorial that is relatively recent. It's only from about a year ago. And Will Vincent, who I believe hosts the Django podcast, I don't know Will, but I do want to give credit to this article. Now, they give you everything you're going to need from start to finish. The model migrating into the database, and he uses cities as his example. Well, down here, I sort of picked up from this point on. And here's that queue. So, queue objects are complex lookups using, OR. And so that's where I'm getting this queue from, is this queue objects. Okay, complex lookups. So I want to thank Will and his article. It's very easy to find. LearnDjango.com, tutorials, Django search tutorial. And so that's all the code. Now let's see it in action. So I'm going to turn my server on. And where I'm going to go now is my new search center. Let me flush all these out. Let me go to the search center, which is just /search. And check it out. I have this search page with the search here. So now what can we search for? Well, let me show you a couple things. Let's search for, and this will be every record, because I'm going to search for this alias, and we know every record is stamped with the alias. So let's search for that alias, and there is every record. Pretty cool, right? Now I could also search for maybe, let's say IoT is one of these fields, and it should give us back only the records with IoT. Now earlier today, I connected to this switch and I set up an interface, a VLAN with the name Merlin. And there it is there, just one time. And there's the timestamp. So now, and I'm going to show you that this is working. Let's go to our on-demand center. On demand, and let's just learn VLAN because it's nice and quick. There's our spinner that'll tell us when it's done. And I believe my VPN is still up. Yeah. And it's done. So now I think if I refresh this, there is the second record. And the other thing is it's straight in line here. So if there's a power user, they could do it right in the URL here, IoT. There's our IoT results. Pretty nifty, right? So go read that article. Go clone my repo and start looking at the code. Now what's next for me, and I'm going to try to develop this and record it. I don't know how well it's going to go. I'd like to add every table so that search is not searching just VLANs, but VLANs, VRFs, version, the whole thing. Really exciting stuff. Thanks for staying with me, and there's going to be more to come on search. Infrastructure as search. Hey everybody, you're not going to believe this. So I've worked on this all night, and now that I look back at it, it's easy. But it did take me a lot of back and forth. So what I wanted to do is to refactor this to search every table, not just the VLAN table, and present the appropriate results page. Well, let's take a look. I figured this out. So this is what it looked like before, and I've got something cut. So what I'm going to do is take this object list and turn it into a list of responses. So what I have is my learn VRF objects filter, and VRF has the VRF address family route distinguisher. Again, this comes from the models, these fields here, the text fields, not the date time field. So I put them into my view, and I'm still returning object list. Now what took me a while to figure out is that in my HTML, this query is object list .1. This query is object list .2. Once I figured that out, everything started to fall into place. So now let's look at the template, and what I have are two lists now. And I'm saying for VLANs and object list .0, and VRF in object list.1. So let's take a look at what this renders at our search page. The server is running, yeah. Okay, so let's search for Merlin. Now Merlin is not going to show up as a VRF because it's only a VLAN. But let's now search for the name and we should get our VRF hits back. Oh, I have a space. Whoops, yeah. So now I have everything. And again, conversely, if I search for, let's say, management, actually, let's search for default. And I should get now the default VRF and the default VLAN. Ha! Check it out. These are all the VLANs that have the word default, and these are all the VRFs that have the word default. So let's go ahead and do the version, the show version. So where I like to start is in the view with the model split screen here. And what we're going to do is copy from the comma and right to here. And we're going to put that in here. And this is now going to be, and we need to import, right, this side should be models. We're going to import show version. Now this one's going to take a while and I'll tab back. I'll pause the screen here. And what we're going to do is, well, we can fill in as many as we have here. So pyATS, let's make that boot flash, chassis, CPU, device name, memory. And I will pause the video and you get the idea. I'll fill that out, and as soon as it's filled out, I'll bring you right back into the video. Okay, just 2 seconds. Okay, so I've finished filling out our filter, and now this is going to be right 0, 1, 2. So now I need to go in here, and I'm going to take just as much time. It's going to take me a little bit of time to do this one as well. But let's just go ahead and take this and we'll add our show version section here. So this is going to be, you know, show version hits. And then we're going to say for show, you know, for version in list 2. And then, right, it's going to be, and we'll just, this actually won't take that long. Right, so we've got pyATS and then we've got boot flash, chassis, CPU, device name, memory. And again, I'm going to pause the video. Okay, so I filled in all of our version dot fields. And I think I should be able to refresh this. And now let's just search for, let's search for the DevNet sandbox name. Show version not defined. Oh, I haven't imported it somewhere. Views, hang on. I have to import it. Yep, right there. That's my mistake, everybody. I should have done that when I was in the models file. Show version. Let's import that into our views. Very important. Missed a step there. Let's go back and search for DevNet. And there are our show version hits. All the fields. So now if I look for, let's say, the serial number, I shouldn't get any VLANs or VRFs. I should just get, right, perfect, working, amazing. All right, so that is the search, building from an article for one table, now for all tables. We have a working search. Thanks again. I hope you enjoyed these videos. I'll see you real soon. Stay safe.